What's up, guys? I'm back with a brand new video today. I was going to do a sting mask this week, but looks like Big Hush beat me to it. So I had a viewer request to do the 2016 Jason mask from the TV series that was supposed to come out. Now, this TV series never came to fruition, but there was unofficial release pictures of what the mask was supposed to look like, so I figured I would try my hand out at that. Maybe I can get it down pat. But at any point in this video, if you decide you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. If you have a recommendation for what I should do for my next mask, drop that in the comments section. But without further ado, let's get right into it.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is to take a pair of scissors and remove the branding from the top. And then after removing the branding, you're going to take off the straps, which are held on with nothing more than fabric glue, so you actually don't even have to use scissors for these. I like to keep the elastic for later projects. After that, you're going to want to take some 220 grit sandpaper and sand it all down to one matte white color. Make sure you get along the edges and get the back, because the back is actually worse about your paint sticking. After you have completed the sanding, you're going to want to go ahead and get your hole placement down. I use one of my old masks to get the hole placement as best I can. I've experimented with hole placement quite a bit, but this is what I found works best for me. After you have your hole placement down, I don't have a power drill, so I use an X-Acto knife to get the holes into the mask. You just go around and around and around until you get your hole to the right shape. Now, I found out that the back end of my X-Acto knife is actually the same size as the holes in the top of the mask, so it kind of tells me if the back end of my X-Acto knife can fit into this hole here, then I've got the perfect size hole. After you do that, you'll want to go ahead and take the spur off the back of the mask. And then to make sure you don't have any excess plastic, I take a lighter and kind of burn it down. You won't have to do that on all the holes, but just the ones with weird little spur shapes on them. After that, I take some electrical tape and I tape up the unnecessary holes that come on the mask. And after I have all 5 of my holes kind of taped up, I will take some plastic wood and fill in each of these holes. Make sure you smooth these down, not too hard, but not too little, because you will be sanding down the excess. This is taking 220 grit sandpaper and just sanding 90 to nothing until you get one, nice flush mask. Now, after that, I like to draw on the design of my mask, whatever it may be. For this particular design, there was a lot of cracking, so it was nothing more than drawing on a whole lot of cracks, and I do mean a whole lot of cracks. This took me probably 15 minutes of just drawing on cracks, so it gets a little tedious to say the least, but the end result is well worth it. Here is the end result after I have drawn on every single crack. I also did a little free-forming off the camera to get the shape into place. Now, after you have drawn on your cracks, you can take an X-Acto knife, and I generally use a box cutter as well to kind of scratch in these scratches along the mask. Now this was actually very time consuming as well, and a Dremel would be much needed, or much useful I should say, to get some of these cracks in. But once you have the cracks in, it looks 10 times better. I also added a heavy amount of cracks around the right eyeball here. This is what my mask looked like after I had all the cracks in. I don't think you can tell, but there are a hefty amount of scratches around that one eye. And it looks pretty good from here, but let's go ahead and take some Rust-Oleum 2X. I got the almond color for this mask, and go ahead and spray paint our mask up. Nothing more than, light coats. After you have your base coat on, it's time for the actual paint job. I made a brown wash, I guess. I just took a little bit of water and some brown paint and mixed it together real fine, and then dabbed it on with a paper towel. I start off with light colors and then layer on top some darker colors until I finally get the darkness I'd like. Now I think I actually made these a bit too dark in the end, but I think it actually makes the mask look better. After you have got your dirt painted on, I went ahead and painted my cracks. Now, while I was painting my cracks, I realized there was kind of a heavy amount of dirt around the eyes. So I actually went back around and did some dirt around the eyes. And there seemed to be a little bit of dirt around the top 3 holes. So I made sure to get that. Finally, after getting to where I wanted with the dirtiness, I went straight back to painting the cracks on the mask. And this was very tedious. It took me about an hour, I want to say, to paint in all these cracks, give or take. Now, after finishing up putting the cracks on the mask, I decided it was still a bit too clean, so I wanted to dirty it up. The actual mask looked a bit spackled in a way, like there was little bitty dots all over the mask, and I didn't know how to get that. I did go ahead and just get some black wash and just dirty this up a whole lot. I mixed some black and some gray and just dirtied it up. I went to town with it. And then I kind of washed off the dirtiness in the brown, so the brown came back out in the dirt parts. I then later on decided to lightly mist the mask with some spray paint from about 2 or 3 feet away, and I just lightly misted over until I got to where I wanted. After that, it was just dirtying up the whole areas, because there was a little bit of like the sweat marks coming off, but not too much. So that's nothing more than taking some straight black acrylic, dabbing over the holes, letting it dry for just a second or two, and then wiping away the excess, not to let it stay on for too long. Now, during the process of dirtying up these holes, I kind of realized that my eye holes looked a little too light. So I went over the eye holes with some black acrylic as well. And at first I didn't think that there was enough dirt shining through, but after a while of letting the paint dry, you could kind of actually tell that there was quite a bit of dirtiness underneath, like that dirt looking texture. I then made some decals that were in the shape of the actual mask decals, because these decals were actually painted on. So I just dabbed these on with some dark red acrylic paint, and then after I got the thickness of paint that I liked, I removed the decals and took the back end of my X-Acto knife and kind of scraped away at the paint the best I could. During this process, I also painted back all the scratches that needed to be there. So make sure you get all the scratches, because I actually think I missed a couple. I'm not too sure, but like taking the back end of your X-Acto knife is how you want to clean that, or I guess you say scratch that up, so that it looks appropriate, because this mask had quite a bit of weathering on the decals. After getting the decals where I wanted them, I went over the entire mask with some Kryoline clear glaze and threw on the straps, nothing more than some simple elastic. But without further ado, here is the completed mask.